Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. The laptop screen gave off a dim light. The cursor blinked on the screen. Rain hit the apartment's only window, making the quiet room feel even more silent. The smell of old spaghetti and black coffee still filled the air. The woman lived alone. She sighed and leaned closer to her laptop. She moved her mouse around the internet. "The things your favorite cake says about your personality," she read out loud with a bitter voice. As she scrolled, a bright ad appeared in purple and pink. It said, "Find your inner jewel, the ultimate soul charm quiz." She laughed a little, but it was not a happy sound. She did not believe a quiz could tell her anything important about her life. Lately, she felt empty inside. But the warehouse would not need her for another 10 hours, and she was not tired at all. Sleep seemed very far away, just like the stars behind the storm clouds. The first question appeared, "What time of day makes you feel most alive?" Click, nighttime. "Which element speaks to your soul?" Water, obviously. Always had been drawn to the ocean, though the closest beach was 3 states away. More questions followed, each more ridiculous than the last. Favorite mythical creature? Preferred method of relaxation? If you were a tree, what kind would you be? The absurdity of it all provided a strange comfort, a brief escape from the monotony of cardboard boxes and shipping labels. "Your spirit amulet is moonstone!" The screen erupted in silver sparkles and mystical symbols. "This luminescent gem resonates with your inner essence. Moonstone carriers often possess deep intuition and emotional intelligence. You may find yourself drawn to creative pursuits and nurturing relationships. Consider embracing your feminine side to unlock your full potential." Feminine side. The words hung in the air like smoke from extinguished candles. A memory surfaced unbidden. Standing in front of the bathroom mirror at age 7, draped in a towel like a dress, wondering why it felt so right when everything said it should feel wrong. The quiz results continued. Moonstone wearers often discover hidden aspects of themselves when they honor the gem's energy. Allow yourself to explore. Trust your intuition. The moon doesn't apologize for its phases, and neither should you. "Load of crap," came the whisper. But the browser tab stayed open. Another sip of cold coffee, another glance at the results. Embrace your feminine side. Such a simple phrase, yet it echoed like a bell in an empty cathedral. Days passed. Cardboard boxes came and went. The forklift's beeping became a rhythm, a meditation. But those words, "embrace your feminine side," they lingered like perfume in an elevator after someone beautiful had left. Friday afternoon brought an unexpected bonus in the paycheck. Not much, but enough to feel like the universe had winked. The Crystal Shop sat wedged between a Thai restaurant and a used bookstore, its window display full of amethyst geodes and dream catchers. Inside smelled of sage and sandalwood. "Can I help you find something?" The clerk had kind eyes and silver rings on every finger. "I'm looking for moonstone?" "Ah, wonderful choice. Moonstone is all about new beginnings and inner growth. Let me show you what we have." The pendants lay on black velvet like drops of captured moonlight. One called out immediately. A small oval stone set in silver, milky white, with flashes of blue when it caught the light. It cost more than seemed reasonable for a piece of jewelry bought because of an internet quiz, but reason had taken a back seat to something else. Hope, maybe, or curiosity. "I'll take it." The weight of it against the chest felt significant, even through the warehouse uniform. Throughout the shift, fingers found their way to the small bump beneath the polo shirt, checking it was still there. Real. Present. Saturday arrived gray and humid. No work meant time to think, which lately meant time to spiral. But the moonstone caught the lamplight as morning coffee brewed, and that same reckless impulse that had driven the purchase whispered suggestions. The thrift store downtown opened at 9. By 9:15, unfamiliar territory was being explored. Racks of skirts and dresses instead of the usual quick scan through men's jeans and t-shirts. Everything felt too much, too obvious, too Everything. Finding everything okay? The volunteer sorting donations barely glanced up. Just browsing. A flash of purple caught the eye. Lilac, actually, according to the tag. A maxi skirt with an elastic waist. The fabric some kind of synthetic that flowed like water. Simple. Unassuming. Perfect for what exactly? The answer refused to form into words, but the skirt went into the basket anyway. A white peasant blouse joined it, cotton with small embroidered flowers around the neckline. The kind of thing someone might wear to a farmer's market or a picnic. Normal, harmless. The total came to $12. Less than lunch at the warehouse. The volunteer packed them into a plastic bag without comment, already moving on to the next customer. Outside, the bag felt heavier than it should, weighted with possibility and fear. The apartment door clicked shut with finality. The blinds were already drawn, they usually were, but double-checking felt necessary. The bag sat on the bed like an unexploded bomb while the shower ran too hot, steam filling the small bathroom until the mirror fogged completely. Post-shower, wrapped in a towel, the moment of truth arrived. The moonstone pendant caught the light as trembling fingers reached for the bag. The fabric felt soft, foreign, thrilling. The skirt went on first, elastic waist making it simple. It fell to the floor, swishing slightly with movement. The blouse followed, buttons done up with shaking hands. The bathroom mirror had cleared enough to show the reflection. The person staring back was different. Not just the clothes, though the lilac and white created a softer silhouette than the usual dark colors. Something in the eyes had changed. They looked alive for the first time in months. A laugh bubbled up, unexpected and genuine. Then tears, just as unexpected. Happy tears? Sad tears? Did it matter? The fabric swayed with each movement, and the moonstone pendant rested perfectly against the white cotton, catching the light like it was meant to be there. Hours passed in front of that mirror, walking back and forth, sitting, standing, just existing in this new form. The afternoon sun shifted through the blinds, casting patterns on the floor that danced with each swoosh of the skirt. When hunger finally intruded, the idea of changing back into normal clothes felt like considering cutting off a limb, so the lilac skirt stayed on. The peasant blouse remained buttoned. Dinner was leftover Chinese eaten cross-legged on the couch, careful not to spill sauce on the new clothes. The clothes that already felt less like a costume and more like coming home. Sunday brought panic. Tomorrow meant work, meant the warehouse, meant returning to... what? The person who had existed before yesterday? That felt impossible now, like trying to squeeze back into shoes that had shrunk 3 sizes. The laptop opened to job hunting sites, but concentration proved elusive. Every few minutes meant another trip to the mirror, another angle examined, another moment of recognition. This is me. The thought came unbidden but undeniable. This is who I'm supposed to be. Research replaced job hunting, forums and websites and resources previously ignored or actively avoided. Stories from others who had taken similar journeys, who had found themselves in flowing skirts and peasant blouses, who had discovered that embrace your feminine side meant more than any quiz could convey. Names appeared like flowers in spring. Traditional ones and unique ones, borrowed from literature and nature and dreams. One stood out immediately, elegant and musical, Eloise. It rolled off the tongue like honey, felt right in a way the old name never had. Eloise, spoken aloud to the empty apartment. The moonstone seemed to pulse with approval. Monday morning arrived too soon. The warehouse uniform lay on the chair like a threat. But beneath it, hidden but present, the moonstone pendant rested against skin. A secret talisman, a reminder that Eloise existed even if the world wasn't ready to meet her yet. "You okay?" Marcus from shipping asked during break. "You seem different. Just thinking about making some changes." "Good for you, man. Life's too short to stay stuck." If only he knew. The week crawled by, each shift an eternity, but evenings belonged to Eloise. The lilac skirt and white blouse became a uniform of their own, donned the moment the apartment door closed. More clothes joined them. A red sundress from an online retailer, a denim skirt from another thrift store run, tops in jewel tones that made auburn hair shine. Research continued. Medical terms and legal procedures mixed with makeup tutorials and fashion advice. The magnitude of it all felt overwhelming some nights, thrilling on others. But always, the reflection in the mirror whispered the same truth. This is right. This is you. Friday brought another paycheck and a decision. The weekend stretched ahead full of possibility. Time to stop hiding in the apartment. Time to let Eloise exist in the world. The coffee shop 3 blocks over had always been welcoming, full of students and artists and people who minded their own business. The walk there had never felt so long or so short. The lilac skirt swished with each step, the white blouse moved in the breeze, and the moonstone pendant bounced gently against cotton. What can I get you? The barista, pierced and tattooed, didn't blink at the presentation. Large cappuccino, please. The voice came out softer than usual, not forced, but natural. Name for the order? Deep breath. Eloise. Pretty name. That'll be ready in just a minute. The world didn't end. The ceiling didn't collapse. Other customers continued their conversations. Laptop keys continued clicking. Life went on. When Eloise rang out and the cup was collected, it felt like receiving a diploma or an award. Proof of existence. The cappuccino tasted like freedom. Weekends became practice runs for a life that felt more real with each passing day. The mall on Saturday afternoons, the bookstore on Sundays, always in colors that made the world brighter. The wardrobe grew, emerald green, sapphire blue, sunset orange, never dark colors anymore. Eloise was done hiding in shadows. Makeup came next, tentative at first. Mascara that took 15 minutes and looked like spider legs. Lipstick that missed the lines. But practice made, not perfect, but better. YouTube University provided education in contouring and color theory. The woman in the mirror evolved from obviously amateur to passably polished. The warehouse noticed changes. How could they not? Longer hair, shaped eyebrows, a general softness that uniform polo shirts couldn't quite hide. Some coworkers grew distant, others surprisingly supportive. You seem happier lately, Marcus commented one afternoon. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. Happiness. Such a simple word for such a complex feeling. But yes, happiness had crept in somewhere between the lilac skirt purchase and the first successful winged eyeliner. Not constant, not without moments of doubt and fear, but present in a way it hadn't been in years. 3 months after the quiz, a different kind of test presented itself. The warehouse announced new ID badges would be issued, photos updated. The old photo showed someone who felt like a stranger now. Short hair, dead eyes, hollow cheeks from skipping too many meals. I need to update some information, Eloise told HR, voice steady despite trembling hands. What kind of updates? Name change and presentation. The HR manager, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes behind thick glasses, leaned back in her chair. I see. Do you have the legal documentation? Not yet, but I'm working on it. Well, we can use a preferred name for now. What should I put? Eloise Catherine. The middle name came from nowhere, but felt right immediately. Pretty name. And pronouns? She, her. Got it. We'll need to update your email and system access. Might take a few days. Will you be presenting as Eloise at work going forward? The question hung in the air like incense. This was it. The moment of no return. Yes, Monday arrived with new meaning. The uniform polo remained the same, but everything else changed. Hair pulled back in a ponytail that had taken months to grow, subtle makeup that emphasized rather than transformed, and beneath it all, the moonstone pendant, constant as a heartbeat. Looking good, Eloise, Marcus said at lunch, using the new name like he'd been saying it forever. That color lipstick really suits you. Others adapted with varying degrees of grace. Some stumbled over pronouns, apologizing and correcting themselves. A few made their discomfort clear through avoidance and whispers. But overall, the world kept spinning. Boxes still needed moving. Orders still required fulfilling. Life went on, just with Eloise in it now. Legal changes followed, each form filed, feeling like claiming territory. The DMV photo showed a woman with auburn hair and coral lipstick smiling like she'd won the lottery. Bank accounts switched over. Medical consultations began. The journey had official status now, not just flowing skirts and moonstone pendants. The apartment transformed too. Gone were the dark curtains and sparse decorations. Sheer panels let in light that caught on the small collection of crystals that had joined the original moonstone. Plants appeared on windowsills, somehow staying alive despite previous black thumb tendencies. The space became a nest, a sanctuary where Eloise could fully exist. 6 months after the quiz, hormone therapy began. Small pills that promised big changes, taken with reverence each morning. The moonstone pendant clinked against the bathroom sink as Eloise leaned forward to swallow them, a daily ritual of becoming. Changes came slowly, then suddenly. Skin softened. Emotions deepened. The body began matching the soul in ways that felt like magic and science combined. Each milestone, the first time a stranger used the right pronouns without prompting, the day boy mode clothes went to donation, the moment the mirror showed only Eloise, each one was celebrated quietly but fiercely. Work evolved from necessity to opportunity. The warehouse had been a hiding place, but Eloise didn't need to hide anymore. Applications went out to retail positions, customer service roles, anywhere that would let personality shine instead of just muscles lift. The callback from the boutique downtown felt like winning a prize. "We love your energy," the manager said after the interview, conducted in a yellow sundress that made auburn hair glow. "When can you start?" 2 weeks' notice at the warehouse felt both too long and too short. Coworkers organized a small farewell party, sheet cake in the break room with "Good luck, Eloise" in purple frosting. "Gonna miss you around here," Marcus said, pulling her into a bear hug. "But I'm happy you're moving on to better things." The boutique proved to be everything the warehouse wasn't. Bright and airy, full of beautiful clothes and customers who appreciated style advice from someone who understood transformation. Eloise bloomed in the environment, recommending colors and cuts with an intuition that surprised even her. "You have such an eye," regular customers would say. "Where did you train?" The real answer, life, internet forums, and a desperate need to become herself, usually got simplified to self-taught. But the moonstone pendant, still worn daily, knew the truth. It had been there from the beginning, a silly purchase prompted by an even sillier quiz that had somehow unlocked everything. Year 1 became year 2. Hair grew past shoulder length, auburn waves that caught light like fire. The wardrobe exploded in a rainbow of options. Professional for work, casual for weekends, dressy for the occasions that appeared more frequently now that isolation wasn't the default mode. Dating entered the picture tentatively. Coffee conversations and dinner experiments, some successful, others learning experiences, but each attempt came from a place of authenticity that had been impossible before. Eloise could offer herself fully now, no hiding, no pretense. The right person appeared on a random Tuesday, browsing through sale racks with intense concentration. Tall and gentle-eyed, with paint under fingernails that suggested artist. Their conversation started with color theory and ended with exchanged numbers. "I love your pendant," they said before leaving. "Moonstone, right? It's supposed to be good for new beginnings." "The best," Eloise agreed, fingers finding the familiar stone. Dates followed. Gallery openings and picnics, bookstore browsing, and home-cooked meals. They fell into each other's lives like puzzle pieces finding their spots. No drama, no grand gestures, just two people recognizing something good and nurturing it. "I want you to know," Eloise said 3 months in, heart hammering despite the acceptance already shown. "I'm trans. I transitioned about 2 years ago." "Thank you for trusting me with that," came the reply, along with a kiss that tasted like coming home. "You're exactly who you're supposed to be." The seasons cycled. Work promotions came, along with moves to better apartments, and the acquisition of furniture that wasn't purely functional. Friends multiplied. Some from support groups, others from work, a few longtime connections who had weathered the transition with grace. The loneliness that had defined those pre-quiz days became a distant memory. Medical milestones continued, surgeries planned and completed, each one bringing body and soul into closer alignment. Recovery wasn't always easy, but the partner who brought soup and terrible movies, the friends who sent flowers and memes, the family, chosen and biological, who showed up, they made it bearable, more than bearable, meaningful. "How did you know?" a young person asked at the support group Eloise had started attending, then eventually facilitating. How did you know this was right? The answer could have been clinical, could have cited dysphoria and identity and all the proper terminology. Instead, Eloise touched the moonstone pendant and smiled. "I took a silly internet quiz that told me to embrace my feminine side. So I bought this pendant and a lilac skirt, and when I put them on, I met myself for the first time." Laughter rippled through the group, but understanding too. Sometimes the biggest journeys started with the smallest steps. Sometimes transformation began with nothing more than curiosity and a $12 thrift store purchase. Years accumulated like pearls on a string. The boutique job evolved into management, then into opening her own styling consultation business. The apartment became a house, shared with the partner who had become a spouse in a ceremony where Eloise wore white. Not a peasant blouse this time, but the echo was there, and the moonstone pendant. Photos lined the hallways now. Recent ones showed a confident woman with auburn hair and laugh lines, surrounded by chosen family at barbecues and birthdays. But tucked in a drawer, kept but not displayed, lived a single photo from before. The contrast was stark, not just physical, though that was dramatic enough. The eyes told the real story. Empty then, alive now. Aunt Ellie, the niece, courtesy of a cousin who had adapted to the transition with surprising speed, bounded through the door for weekend babysitting. "Can we play dress up?" "Of course, sweetheart. I have just the thing." The dress-up box overflowed with possibilities. Costume jewelry and bright scarves, hats and handbags collected from years of thrift store adventures. Watching the child experiment with different combinations, Eloise remembered that first tentative exploration, the fear and thrill of it, the recognition. "This one!" The niece held up a purple scarf, close enough to lilac to make Eloise's heart squeeze. "It's pretty like your necklace." "It is, isn't it? Purple is a magical color." "Why?" "Because it helped me find out who I really was." The child accepted this with the easy wisdom of youth, already moving on to the next accessory. But the words lingered in the air, true as the day they were discovered. Evening came with its familiar rhythms. Dinner prepared together, stories shared from the day, comfortable silences that spoke of deep contentment. The moonstone pendant caught the light as Eloise moved through the kitchen, same as it had that first day, but everything around it had transformed. "I was thinking," the spouse said, wine glass in hand, "about taking that trip we've been discussing, Europe in the spring." "That sounds perfect." And it did. Everything sounded perfect when you were living as yourself. Later, preparing for bed, Eloise stood before the mirror in the silk nightgown that had replaced old t-shirts and shame. The reflection showed a woman at peace. Not perfect. Perfection was a myth sold by magazines. But real. Whole. Her. The moonstone pendant lifted over her head carefully, placed in its spot on the jewelry box that had grown to accommodate an entire life's worth of accessories. Tomorrow it would go back on, constant as breathing. But for now, it could rest, its job well done. "Thank you," she whispered to it, to the quiz that had started everything, to the scared person who had taken that first step into a thrift store women's section. The rain had returned, tapping against windows in a rhythm that felt like applause. Eloise slipped into bed beside her spouse, auburn hair spreading across the pillow, and smiled. Tomorrow would bring its own adventures, clients to style, friends to meet, life to live fully and authentically. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.